It's always.
Oh, my God. It's always a mess at the very last second of the day. Well, from Studio A in Texas, USA, welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Show, the award-winning all things automotive car talk show. On today's 2-hour program, it's the 4th of July mashup. And boy, is it a mashup. Need tires? Confused with all the ads and the hype from the tire stores? Well, our expert, Mr. Jeff Dzeiken, sorts it out. Mr. Mars goes to the Wayback Machine to talk about drag racing history in the Houston area, and Mike Satterfield joins us for a look at the Groesbeck Grand Prix coming up. Inside our new car showroom are the Alfa Stelvio SUV. I had a chance to drive that. I think that you're going to be impressed just like I was when I got to drive it. And Mr. Mars is going to talk about the Mercedes-Benz AMG
GLC 4.3.
Yeah, well, because Mr. Mars told me that it's a CLC. So I'm going with the CLC. It's his own version of the GLC. We'll give you an in-depth review of each of those. We've got this week's automotive news, our weekly Ram Tracks and Jeep Trails features, all that and more just ahead on today's 2-hour In-Wheel Time car show for Saturday, the 4th of July, 2020. Howdy. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars, who's right off camera view. He's doing the video at the moment. We have sitting in Mr. Jeff Dzeiken.
Hello.
And then we also have over here the fabulous, the Mr. Man of All.
Oh, gosh.
Here he is, Conrad DeLong, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate
in living color.
Well, I'm in all white today.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It's before Labor Day, so you can still wear all white.
Yeah, with your white pumps. But at any rate, we're also going to talk to Gina Child-Knowles, who also has a kind of a preview for us about a program that's going to be available to all of us online beginning at 3 o'clock this afternoon. And it's kind of a recap of the race that took place a couple of weeks ago that Jeff and I got to watch. But they've re-edited that. And so it'll give us all something to do for the 4th of July to get our racing bug fixed.
Hear, hear.
Yeah, there's that. So we're going to start off this show because I thought, everybody's got a sale. Everybody. Furniture, draperies, flooring.
Mattresses.
Tires.
Yeah.
Tires. Everybody's got a 4th of July sale.
Jeff's here to make us tired.
And since a lot of people apparently are out going to do their vacation driving this year as opposed to being cooped up on an airplane with COVID-19 worries, they're hitting the road. And it's time to take a look at the tires before you hit the road because you sure don't want to have a flat these days out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, you're on the road, yeah.
Yeah, or there's a blowout or something like that. So I thought, well, we haven't talked to Jeff about tires in quite some time, and I thought it would behoove all of us, actually, to talk about tires and the temptation that all of us have when it comes to these sales. Because, buy 3, get 1 free.
But that's the hook.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Sales aren't about fact. Sales are about emotion. If they can get you emotional, you're more likely to buy something.
Exactly, and you know how emotional I can be. But I can fall into that just like anybody else can.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, let's talk to Jeff about that. And really, the way to buy a tire is not on emotion, but it's on fact.
Well, and Conrad's right, absolutely. They base everything on emotion. And there's times of the year also because you
move that microphone closer.
There you go.
That's fine.
It not only is it emotion, but it's how they want to present it.
Yes.
Got a little scratchy in here?
Yeah, it is. Okay. That's me over here scratching.
Okay.
Yeah. Like the dog.
Okay.
Yes, so continue.
So it's a matter of time of year also because springtime, summertime, the tire manufacturers also rely on what the retail sales, your Firestones, your Goodyear stores, your discount tires, your dealerships. Each one of them have an incentive program through the manufacturers as well. So you're looking at generally March is the kickoff of the first sale of
selling season.
Exactly. End of February, beginning of March, and then they try to coincide with some of the like the March Madness that we didn't have, but that's generally one of the big primary
Right.
things
We've
for
all
the
been
year.
going mad since March.
Exactly. Well, so far as the sporting events, they want to tag on that. And then, of course, racing season. You've got drag racing. You've got NASCAR. You've got Formula One. You've got IMSA. Those are all parts of the season that they want to exploit, I guess you want to say, so far as tire sales. And then now we're into
Summer vacation.
June and July summer vacation.
Right.
And then looking forward
Kind of
to
the summer car tune-up. Make sure your car's right before you hit the
not only
road.
the tune-up, but you've got the what Randy Shannon does with his car clubs and Nifty 50s and things like that. All the cruises that you and I went on a
Right.
cruise, and then there's the racing and such. And then moving into the fall season where it's back to school. And then you've got the college student that's got their first car. Maybe
So
a high
there's
school
always a reason to
there's
buy tires.
always a reason to buy tires. Not only that, you've got the in-between where you've got maybe somebody didn't take advantage of that. And then there's, I've got to go the need to buy tires. And then there's also...
Hold on. Try again.
He's cleaning the dust off of the rheostat over there.
Yes, I am.
That's fine. But then there's the off season where, folks, oh my gosh, I missed that sale. I'm going to need tires.
So let's break it down.
Okay.
First of all, what is the lifetime of a tire, forget the tread life, but the lifetime of a tire, where you hear about dry rot and that sort of, you don't go past a certain period of time with a tire, no matter what the tread looks like.
It's not like a good wine that an old vintage is good.
It's better, right? So you're talking about like shelf life or just
Well,
even on
no,
the car?
Yeah, shelf
on,
life.
on your car. So I bought a new car 5 years ago. We've really only put about, 20,000 miles on it. We've still got plenty of tread left on it. Is it time to buy new tires because it's 5 years old?
I would be looking. Absolutely, yes. I
Why?
would be looking. Well, because tires deteriorate. They not only deteriorate on the outside. You've got what we've talked about before on previous shows where the sun can deteriorate it as well. From the outside, you get that little spider cracking.
Surface cracking.
Surface cracking. They also deteriorate on the inside. Even though you can't see it, you've maybe hit a curb every now and then, or maybe hit that pothole that you went, oh gosh, you kind of tensed up.
Or
and hit
drove 7 or 8 pounds low for a couple of
Exactly.
days.
Well, that tire deteriorates and it turns into like a powdery
Dust.
substance, dust, so to speak. So you can actually tell. I'm looking at Michael here.
When something gets old, we look at Mike.
and dusty. Sorry, Mike.
I think that would fall into the dusty muffin category, wouldn't it? That's another story
totally
for another
different
day.
show.
If you have
Yeah.
a tire that is a problem, and you can actually take the tire off the rim and check the inside of the tire to see if it's been damaged from the inside. Belt separation and things, you don't always feel that. You don't always feel that wobble when you're driving down the road, and you know that you could feel that in the seat of your pants sometimes.
Well, the
if
one
it's
thing
doing
that
well.
I can think of is that, most people don't have a road car. It's a car that
Right.
you drive back and
It's your
forth to
daily
work.
driver,
Right.
right.
And so we're now going to go on a prolonged road trip. Let's just say to Wisconsin, 1,200 miles, Houston, Texas, up to Milwaukee. Okay? And for most people, that they will mainly put that into a 2-day time period. Well, I remember distinctly growing up that we would go from Wisconsin down to Alabama to visit relatives.
Oh
down
my
there.
gosh, that's a haul.
That is a haul. But we made it in 2 days. We made a 2-day trip out of it, so it didn't get too tiresome for all of us. And it never failed. We were using used cars at the time to make the haul, and there would be something like an alternator, or we'd have a flat tire. I think that was more common back then, and not so much today. But to take that element of a flat tire or a bad tire or a bubble on the side of the tire or a tire that's out of balance out of the equation, it increases your chances of not having a stress-filled problem
Trip, right,
car.
right,
That all I can think of is, what a pain.
And it's just something as simple as checking the air pressure. We had a Facebook. You and I were involved in that. We had a viewer asking on Facebook about tire pressures this past week. And they explained that they checked the tire pressure and they wanted to make sure that the level was to where it was.
They checked it cold,
Right.
and all tires were balanced.
Right.
And then when he checked it hot, 2 of the tires were 2 pounds higher
They were a little off,
than
right.
the others. Just an imbalance in that.
But see, that level is actually quite normal. And the first thing you have to do is make sure you've got a gauge that you trust. When we
That's
talked about
accurate,
that,
right.
that exactly accurate, or you can trust
Right.
that it is accurate. And we went through that in a few segments ago, months or so ago on that. get an accurate a gauge that you're comfortable with.
And you don't have to spend a lot of money
No,
on
you
one.
don't. Not at all. You know, anywhere from $4 or $5,
And
$10.
these digital gauges these days are great.
Exactly. And you keep it in the glove box all the time.
Yep.
Check your tires every other fuel tank.
Right.
And that would be a good practice. If you check your mileage, and everybody wants to know how best mileage they get, do it at that time. But once you check them cold and you do run them, say you've got a daily trip, or say you do your Alabama trip from wherever, let it cool down, check them the next morning before you get on the road, and if there's any deviation on it, that's when you know that you got to fill the tire.
Yeah.
Low tire pressure is your worst enemy because it builds up heat, and then the heat creates friction, and the friction will lose.
And that's what causes that, to me, part of the dust issue inside the tire.
Exactly.
Because when you run on a low tire, the tire is not fully inflated through the sidewall, so it's got a bend in it.
Right.
So it's kind of like, when you take a piece of metal and you bend it, and you bend it, and you bend it,
And it finally
and it
breaks.
weakens that metal. The same thing happens to a tire. That sidewall crushes, and that's where that dust comes from.
Well, not only sidewall, but you can get it actually on the belt side, on the tread side as well. So that all interacts. So yes, low tire pressure is the enemy. But getting back to that
And high tire pressure can be as well, because
absolutely.
then you wear out the center of the tread.
You wear out the center of the tread. But make sure you got a gauge you can trust.
Well, the other thing is, too, speaking of tire pressures, on these new cars that we get to drive all the time, I noticed that the tire pressures are now starting to go up. Not, what the manufacturer is calling for. They're calling for more pressure in the tires. The truck that I had the other day, 60-pound PSI.
On an LT, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And it was probably a D-rated tire, not a C-rated.
I don't know, but all I can tell you is, in the Cadillac out there, I think it's like at 35 pounds instead of 32 or 30.
Well, and that because it's a larger gross weight vehicle, and yes, they're going to manufacture that because it's got Michelin's on it. And I checked that almost immediately.
Of course you did.
He's always checking tires.
The Michelin's, that's what they require for that vehicle. Now, that's an XT, that's 6.
Yes.
So you look at the 5 might be different, and the 4 might be different, and then you move up to the Escalade, which is the big daddy of that, is probably going to be different as well.
So let's talk about these sales and and I know that from past experience with you, you always recommend the fact that you go with what the manufacturer originally put on the car. Now, 5 years ago, that tire today may be called something else,
Right.
but it is still from the manufacturer, the same type of tire that they had 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that correct?
Right. Yeah, the LISI, load index, speed index ratings, should be the same.
In the UPC rating.
Exactly. Now, I'm big on that. I've kind of gotten away from that in a little sense that, yes, because the manufacturers now are all, if you were to draw a line with a pencil, and that pencil lead line is all the quality of all the tire manufacturers. There's no vast changes, like, a big EKG or something. There's nothing like that anymore. They all have to abide by the same rules of the DOT, and the DOT is pretty strict on that, especially when it comes to recalls or campaigns to bring the tires back.
Right.
So I kind of went away from that a little bit. As long as you get the proper size and the LISI, it doesn't matter the manufacturer to me at this point. I would prefer sticking with the manufacturer, but if you can't do that, then you've got something to fall back on.
So not only you look at the size of the tire, but the LSI.
Yeah, LISI, load index, speed index rating.
Okay, and that's readily available?
Yes, and it's also in the tire. Some tires are H, which I believe H, correct me if I'm wrong, is about 130 miles an hour. So it's,
Then I think it's S is 112.
Okay, S is right. You're right. S and then H, and then it goes into a T, and then you get your
And
performance.
then there's a V, which is 150.
V's and W's and Z's.
But if
And that letter designation is the tire's highest speed rating.
Right.
And each letter designation gives any car that has that letter designation has that max speed rating for the tire. So the manufacturers have to match the tire to the vehicle.
Right.
So like my son's Yukon, has an S-rated tire on it, which is good to 112 miles an hour. Well, the truck has, in the calibration of the truck, is speed limited to 108 miles an hour because it's got a 112-mile tire. So that all ties together with how the manufacturer specs a tire.
Right. It's a calculation on again, we talked about the weight, what you're using the vehicle for, performance, engine size, and things of that nature.
So if you don't have if you got a family car, go with that.
Right.
You don't need to get some higher speed rated tire
No.
because it looks good or whatever. Because once you leave the mounting place, wherever it is you have your tires mounted and balanced, you're not really going to pay any attention to what they look like unless you actually just do an inspection of the tire itself.
And then when you get in that car and you drive away and you feel, oh, that feels so good, you kind of goes away.
Yeah.
You kind of go, you forget
Right.
about it.
It's like putting premium in a non-premium car.
Yeah, it might make you feel good for a short period of time, but there really isn't any
Well,
true
it's so
benefit
funny
of
for
it.
me personally. You know, you go into some place, a retailer like a Discount Tire or something, and they got stacks of tires, and ooh, it's all shined up and pretty, and it smells like tire smell in there. And all they're doing
Isn't
is
that
really,
great?
yeah, playing on your emotion. Because, hey, man, you know, I got this truck. Oh, there's a mutter set of tires over there. But have you heard what that mutter set of tires sounds like doing 30 miles an hour down Main Street?
And it all starts when you pull up. And I know the Discount does this because I've dealt with Discount, and then some of the dealerships, the first thing they do is walk you out to the car. And they look at the tires, and they talk to you about the tires. How do you like these? Now, I had a set of tires on a vehicle where I knew they were cheap. I bought them just to get by years ago. And first thing they said, well, how do you like these tires? I said, well, they suck. They're bad.
Well, that's pretty definitive.
Yeah, exactly. Those tires suck.
What else you want to know?
Yeah.
He goes, so you're not going to get these? No, because I got them here, and I'm not buying these again. Just long story short is I didn't end up buying them. So that's what they do. They walk out to the car. They want to inspect the vehicle. They want to check the tread depths in 3 different places, like we're supposed to do in the tire
Across
industry.
the tread.
The tread of the tire. And then they talk to you about it. Well, what do you use your car for? And they kind of eyeball the car. Is it full of dents? I mean, is it just a grocery getter? Is it a soccer mom's car? How are you using the vehicle?
Kind of get an evaluation of the vehicles
Exactly.
because that they know what direction they want to go and how they sell you.
And they're thinking of a price point already in a good, better, best scenario. So,
And when
then
you drive in with a McLaren or a Corvette, and they're like, "Ooh,
they're gonna go, ooh, can I drive it?
$700 a tire car."
He had to go there. He had to bring up the Corvette. He just had to. All right, so to wrap things up,
Because
really,
his tires are old and he needs to get
no,
them replaced.
not yet,
We
but
s-
we
Getting there.
Yeah, they're getting there. But to wrap things up, I wanted to make it a point that really the best thing for you to do is look and see what the car came with. If you bought a used car, chances are that it's probably had a different set of rubber put on it since you've bought the car or since the car was new. Go and see what the car originally came with. Then do your homework on that particular brand, that model, that style, that speed rating, all that sort of stuff.
You may not find the actual manufacturer of it because they do. I mean, a Goodyear makes a Goodyear, and then you
Right.
can go to an off-brand. You can go to Walmart or Costco and find a Goodyear.
Well, and
but
on
not necessarily the same.
And on a Chevrolet truck, on a 2019 Chevrolet truck, that same 1500 truck may have come with Hankooks, Goodyears, or Bridgestones on
Exactly.
it,
There's a
just from the
variety.
same manufacturer.
And
But
to
they
this
all
day-
have a UPC spec
To this
tire.
day, I mean, if you look at a Mustang on a UHP, ultra high performance tires, UHP, a Mustang would be a Yokohama or a Michelin, or even now they're back to the Firestone on a particular Mustang.
But shop your prices.
Exactly.
Always shop your prices because
To your
prices
budget.
vary.
To your budget.
And you had opened up your segment talking about dealerships sell tires.
Right.
Well, most dealerships and a lot of tire shops out there have a tire match policy.
Right, they do.
So if you can find that price somewhere else and lay it in front of them, they're going to match that
You
price.
don't necessarily have to do that. They'll do it for you. They'll look it up. Hey, I went to ABC Tire Store and I found this XYZ tire, and they'll pull it up. Well, yep, you're right.
and they'll
will
match you
that.
dollar for dollar.
Yep.
Jeff Dzeiken, our tire guru, talking about vacation tires for your vacation. You may be on it or maybe getting ready to go on it. I know our engineer, David Ainsley, he's headed out of town for a couple of weeks. Going to
In
go
a
up
rental
to
car.
Michigan. In a rental car, yeah. So anyway, Jeffrey, thank you very
I
much.
like what you've done with the decor here.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeff.
Jeff visited.
Jeff
one-
is our interior designer and videographer.
Yeah, and yes, fashionista. Jeff Dzeiken. All right, thank you, sir.
And our
bet.
Kalachi King.
There you
That
go.
too. A review of the Alpha Stelvio coming up next on the In Wheel Time Car Show right after this quick break.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the In Wheel Time Car Show. 4th of July, as you can tell, Jeff's done his homework and went down to the store and got us some USA. Right on USA. Time now for this hour's car review. I had a chance to drive the Alfa Stelvio. Oh my gosh, I haven't fallen in love with a car like this in forever. That interior, it just rocks it. The actual vehicle rocks it. Here's the review. 20 Alfa Stelvio. It comes in rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, TI all-wheel drive, and the Quadrifoglio. That Quadrifoglio. Whew, that's a car. The reviewed trim level that I happen to have was the TI Sport all-wheel drive. Small SUV. Seats 5. Exterior changes from last model year. It was all new in 2018. It is built on the Giulia platform, which is the 4-door sedan. So this is a true crossover. Exterior features. Noticeable Scudetto grille. Do you know what
Scudetto? No.
Scudetto.
Is that little nose thing that's
the
Alfa
little
Romeo does?
That's called the little shield. In Italian, Scudetto is the little shield.
Proboscis.
Okay. Bumper wide lower grille underneath the Scudetto. Porsche style fastback hatch. Coffee can sized exhaust tips.
Yeah, they are.
Exhaust tips were that big. They were huge. What I liked about it, the overall sporty design with the sculpted sides. Interior, sexy, sporty design with high quality materials. Center console has the phone charger, and it's passive. You don't have to plug it in. Side bolster, race-style seats, huge. Paddle shifters, they're not plastic either. Cargo trunk room is small. This is a sports car in the form of a crossover, an SUV. What I liked about it, the compact, sporty, really cool feel of the interior. Truly amazing. What could use improvement? The infotainment system does have a learning curve. But once you get to know it, works great. Engine, 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with 280 horsepower out of this little thing.
Wow.
306 pound-feet of torque. Now the Quadrifoglio, 505 horsepower from a 2.9-liter turbocharged V6. It's quite pricey, however, but boy, I would have loved to have gotten into that. Transmission, 8-speed automatic. If you want to tow something with this, go find something else.
Yeah, this isn't.
This is not something. I guess it'll tow something, but why? This is not what that's all about. This is a sports car lifted up in a SUV style.
And you see more and more manufacturers are doing those sport SUVs as well.
This thing is bad to the bone, man. I am telling you, if you're in the market for a sporty SUV crossover, this, you must go see it, and you must drive it. 22 miles per gallon city, 28 highway for a combined of 24. I got 23.7 over 245 miles. I should have put more than that miles on it. I enjoyed that car. What I liked about it, the power to weight ratio kicks it. It does have a slight turbo lag. Got to get used to that. What I liked about the ride and handling, it has this thing called DNA. DNA. And it's a little knob on the center console, and it stands for dynamic, natural, or advanced efficiency. You put that thing in dynamic, and it's like turning on the turbocharger.
Kind of like a sport mode.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Base trim price, which is kind of surprising to me, $45,800. Now, the price is tested was $59,745, but this thing was loaded up. Base model price, you can get into one for $41,400.
That's a good price.
It is a good price. Competitors to this vehicle in base size and price: the Porsche Macan,
Say way more.
$50,900. The Mercedes-Benz GLC Class 42,500.
That's what Angela has.
And the Acura RDX for $37,800. That was about as close as I could find to this thing, but there really is no comparison. This really is a standalone kind of thing.
But it's an SUV that's got that Italian flavor to it. You know, that's where the Italian sports car really shows on that truck.
Dude, that interior is unbelievable.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, comparing it to the interior of what you're driving right now, it really has a panache, let's say.
Is that a panache or a panache?
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. I had that for dessert.
Yeah. That's our Jeffy. Okay, so I want to remind everybody that the In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook.com/InWheelTime, on YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. We have the events calendar, and I think we're going to talk with Gina Child-Knowles about a special event this afternoon at 3 o'clock that you'll want to tune into. That's coming up right after a quick break here on In Wheel Time.